Now, you mentioned Naomi Osaka, and that brings me to what has happened very recently, that she chose not to address the press conference, and then there was pressure on her by the Roland Garros administration that she should, or else she would be fined, and then she chose to just withdraw from the tournament. What do you have to say about the whole saga that has taken place? Do you think the demand that, or the request that Naomi Osaka had was genuine, or do you think that the officials were sort of right in their own way, that they wanted her to take those press conferences? What do you feel?
I think there's two sides to this story, right? So as Naomi Osaka has very eloquently written later, she's had depression issues. She maintained that she's had mental health concerns, which is why she didn't want to address those press conferences. I think the problem was in the way she approached it more than anything else, right? It is perfectly acceptable, especially in this day and age, to express the fact that you have mental health concerns, and no one should be held accountable for doing that, because I think that's a good thing that elite sports people come out with. The issue, I think, in this case was that, and I've heard this from a very senior journalist who knows her and her team as well, that she did not apparently consult either her parents, who are her advisors, or her team before going on social media and saying that she didn't want to do the press conference. She didn't even talk to Roland Garros about it. Okay? But first thing was, okay, it's the young generation, you guys, that's how you choose to do it. But not everything can be done by social media alone, right? There is a process to do this. Now, the way I look at it is, leave aside the mental health issue, leave aside everything else. Look at tennis players playing at a professional, at the highest level, as doing a job like any other. At some level it is. They're getting paid for doing something, right? So it is a job. When you're playing at one of the majors, there are certain commercial expectations that are there. There is a job description, if you like. Think about it as you working for an organization. You are expected to do certain things to earn what you are earning. One of the things that tennis players sign up for is to address the press as well, right? Because it is something that forms the whole commercial cycle of the sport, without which they cannot get paid, and without which the sport cannot succeed.
It's actually there in their contracts?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. She has to go, which is why she's fined. I mean, she's fined because she's not sticking to that, right? She's not being fined because they're angry about it. She's fined because she's in breach of that, right? So if I think she had handled it better, or she had been taken advice or asked for advice, this whole thing would not have blown up. Because from a Roland Garros standpoint, the fact that she went on social media and said, I am not going to do press conferences, was going against what she had signed up to do. And so she's finished. I think where you can call an overreach of the Grand Slams is by making that announcement, which I think was completely unnecessary, which said that not only are we going to find you, we reserve the right to suspend you. Of course, you reserve the right to suspend her, but you don't need to go and make a press statement about it, right? And the fact that they did that upped the ante. And then in the end, she had no choice but to leave, because then it affects her mental health even more, right? So it's either that she accepts that this is the way to do it and it affects how she plays the tournament, or she doesn't play the tournament and goes away and takes care of herself and comes back when she's in a better frame of mind, which is what she's chosen to do.
Probably, from what I've understood from what you've just said, probably this whole issue could have been managed a little more better if, say, Naomi Osaka had just consulted, or gone to the French Open administration and probably made a request saying that, okay, I can't do these press conferences after every game. It's very difficult for me. Can we work a way around it? Or probably, if I
Absolutely.
can on alternative games, or can I send a team member or someone from my team who can address those instead of me? So probably, that would have worked, and maybe a solution could have been figured out.
Yeah, confrontation is not, when you are in this kind of a scenario, I know it's not always easy, but the confrontational attitude sometimes, even if it's done inadvertently, uh, can cause things like this. It's very unfortunate because she's a fantastic player. She's a lovely woman. I think tennis would be richer for having her play.
Yeah, unfortunate it is for sure, but it also, I think the one good thing that I see about it, although not happy with her, leaving the tournament, is like how something like a mental health issue is being normalized, because we
Absolutely.
definitely as a society need people who are in some sort of an influence to talk about it more and normalize it, rather than just playing through it. Because we've had you mentioned Andre Agassi. In his book also he's mentioned how he has had issues, and he's somehow just managed to play through it, because at that point of time it was something which was not very much accepted in the society. So probably this
Every
game.
young elite sports person, you know, if you look at the generations past, every young elite sports person at some stage in their lives has gone through it. Because think about it, Rukirat, that we in our professional lives are not faced with a situation where on a regular basis we lose. So we have failures. We all have failures, but it doesn't happen to us every day. It happens off and on, and you feel really bad when that happens. But a young tennis player, 20, 21, 22 years old, has to accept the fact that they go out there and the other person is better than them 3 days a week, right? It's not that easy to manage. It's not that easy to handle. So mental health issues are inevitable. And I think it's a matter of how you're brought up, the kind of support that you have, etc., is the only way to handle it.
Yes, of course. And what you said, that even if say we have failures, our failures are not broadcasted in front of millions
Absolutely.
others, and then we don't
Here,
have.
there's no hiding, right?
Yeah, here there's no hiding. There are certain questions that are asked, that okay, did you prepare the certain way, or why do you think this did not work? Has this been a consistent issue? So it's almost like, when you are that big and that influential of a person, your failure inadvertently, because the journalists are also doing their job, the analysts are also doing their job. Inadvertently, it's like jaleb and namak chidakna, because everyone's adding some way or the other, adding insult to injury, which I think no one in would personally want to do, and want that to happen with it. So it makes sense, and gives a lot of perspective.